Good morning, everybody. I'm Jack Katzanek, the business editor and business reporter at the Press Enterprise, and with me this morning is Debra Gruszecki.
Good morning.
Debra covers real estate for this paper, and there's a story that is already online. It'll be running in print on Sunday about Inland Empire home equities. And you know, as a business reporter, you and I both know for 5 years we've been running bad news about many business affairs. What people are going to be reading when they see your article, it's good news. What can you tell me about it?
Well, today's report that's online and will appear in Sunday's paper talks about how home equity values are rising across certain cities in the inland region. We're starting to see some equity gains, which is probably very welcome news for many homeowners who for a long time have bit the bullet with regard to property values. The good part of that is that their property values are rising, so far many more homeowners are now no longer underwater or are at a level equity playing field. A few homes have even risen in value to so much that they're actually going to be able to pay for a real estate commission if they decide that they would like to put their house on the market. So that's a fun little piece that we're working on.
So people have bought a house saying, this is where my money is going, this is my savings, this is my equity, and they've been disappointed for years. They're sleeping a little better now, is that?
It is. It's moving up. About a year ago, the inland region was ranked very high as being one of the top 25 metropolitan regions with underwater equity. The ratio levels were at about 50% in some places. We still have some cities that are struggling, but the data is showing that more and more communities across the inland region are now rising in value. Those equity levels are coming up.
What are some of the good cities, and what are some of the ones that still have some catching up to do?
Well, San Bernardino still has its problems. It's at 41%. Hemet, 36%. San Jacinto is at 36%. Banning, 35%. Colton, 34%. Paris, 33%. Moreno Valley is at 30%. So those are really high. But not as high as they were. They're still down quite a bit from the height.
And when you add all those cities together, you're talking of 100,000 homes or more, correct?
It is. It's a lot of homes. Yeah. Now, you have to keep in mind that a lot of these properties have fallen out of the foreclosure short sale situation. So the recent purchasers are those that have bought distressed property, and they're actually starting to see a turnaround in value. Some of the homes that are gaining in appreciation would be those, the people that will probably feel the best are those that bought perhaps in 2008, 2009, and 2010. In many cases, people that started to take advantage of the foreclosure situation early played what I describe as a game called Catch the Falling Knife.
Buy at the bottom.
Buy at the bottom. They thought they were buying at the bottom, but they really weren't. They had no idea how bad the situation was going to get. So I called it like Catch the Falling Knife, even for people like me, who I bought a home in 2009, just at the point where I signed the contract, I saw my equity value drop, and it dropped significantly. Right now, I'm about at a level playing field, and I think a lot of people who purchased in 2008, 2009, and 2010 are starting to see that.
I personally bought a home just a few months before you did. In fact, it was Halloween 2008, so the 5th year anniversary is coming up really soon. And when we saw our equity rise probably above the 300,000 mark, it was a big psychological barrier. Is it the same thing for a lot of homeowners? Just the fact that I can sleep a little better at night, I'm not totally underwater.
It is. It is. I have to tell you, the day that I got my property bill, some people would see that as not such a great thing if their property values and their property tax bill is going up. For me, it was a really good sign that we're finally at a point of stabilization. And suddenly the decision to go out and buy a can of paint to spruce up the trim on the garage looked a lot better. I think people are going to start feeling like they want to invest in their homes again. And I'm even seeing that play out. I hit the streets this week to just do spot checks in neighborhoods, and I'm seeing more new windows going up on homes. I'm seeing more contractors talk about painting jobs that they're getting. I'm seeing a flourish of real estate companies that suddenly are making a big push at this time to get the house out, because the real estate pundits are saying that the price appreciation is going to keep going. Of course, there's some variables there. We all know about the headwinds. We all know about the federal shutdown and the kind of impact that it had on the psyche of consumers and their spending.
Makes them nervous.
So it makes them very nervous. So I think that there's still a lot of things that we have to kind of tread through and walk through. And so time will tell. But for now, this is really good news.
It's really good to hear. And just one more thing, you did mention some cities where there's a high percentage of property owners who are still considerably underwater. Which are the ones where the consumers seem to be catching, where the homeowner is catching up? What are the better ones?
Well, Rancho Cucamonga is at 9%, Upland 10%, Indian Wells 12%, Corona 13%, Mira Loma 14%, Temecula's doing far better at 15%, Norco's at 15%, and Redlands is tracking in at 17%. Chino 18%, Palm Springs 18%. And so it's good news. I really think that in a lot of cases the equity lines have turned. And one other thing that I want to mention is the foreclosure activity is also down considerably. The short sales, everybody talked about how this distressed property had to push through the pipeline. Just for an example, our story on Sunday is going to bring out some September numbers that show just a snapshot of what happened in Riverside. And for Riverside, the REO activity in September 2011 was at about 17%. It dropped down to 10% in September 12, and in September 13th, that level was at 7%. Short sale activity dropped from 44% in September 2011 down to 7%. Now here's what's happening with standard sales, and that would kind of talk about what that's considered the homes that have equity.
That's a private seller, private buyer standard
Right,
sales.
right.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they have enough money to pay the commissioner, the real estate commission. So for Riverside, the numbers went from 38% in September 2011 up to 84% as of this September. So quite a jump there. It's more than double.
And just as one last thing to throw in, when you mention the homes in the cities that are underwater considerably, that have a high percentage, and the ones where the homeowners are catching up, it does seem to tie to the job market. There's a little bit better, well, considerably better hiring in Orange County, LA County than the Inland Empire. The people in Rancho Cucamonga, Chino, Corona, Temecula, a lot of them commute to jobs in other counties.
Correct.
So they're able to earn more, keep their mortgages up. They've been able to weather this a little bit better. The ones in Moreno Valley, Paris, a further commute from these job centers on the coast. They're the ones that are having a little bit more problems. Hopefully we can keep creating jobs here. And we'll be talking to you about good homeowner news again pretty soon, I hope.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.